Hey, what's going on? Appreciate you for tuning in to this episode. Make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, follow, subscribe, share it out, leave a review, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Any feedback is welcome feedback. So, with that being said, the WNBA season, we're going to have one. I'm excited, and hopefully you're excited by that. You know, the relations between the players in the league looked like it was irreparable at the end of last year. Remember when Nafisa Collier sitting up there and basically made it seem like, you know, Kathy Engelbert and the league office weren't doing right by the players, and a lot of deception and all that going on. So the worry was the league is riding a wave of momentum right now that will continue as big name women's college basketball players make the jump, because the women's college game obviously has grown in popularity. So those players going over to the W, the correlation is obviously there. You know, everybody's waiting for Juju Watkins, even though she missed this season with the knee injury. But you got like Lauren Betts coming down the line. You got Madison Booker. You got AZ Fudd, like Sarah Strong. There's so many out there that are preparing to go over to the W that a missed season, a shortened season, I felt like would have been a bad look. So the players and everything, you know, all last season, the pay the player movement and all that stuff with the shirts that, you know, turned off some people or created some discussions or whatever. In the end, it was worth it. Players got what they wanted. And, you know, sometimes the messaging was misconstrued by people online because they would hear the players say, look, the NBA, they take care of their players. We want the same thing. And people just ran with, so you think WNBA players should be getting 40, 50 million a year? That was never the discussion. The discussion from the players was revenue sharing. The NBA is, what is it, like 50-50 or 51-49, whatever the number is. WNBA just wanted something close to that. Because they understood the W doesn't bring in the amount of money that the NBA does. Like, they're not dumb, right? So, with the new system, the key points here, the salary cap will now be tied to revenue growth. So as revenue goes up, the salary cap will go up, which means player salaries will go up. That's what they wanted. So what does that translate into? So the salary cap for 2026 will be around 7 million, which obviously nowhere near NBA numbers. So once again, but the salary cap in 2025 was 1.5 million. That is that's growth. That's a pretty big jump one year to the next. And like I said, it will continue to go up as revenue goes up, which obviously puts it in someone on the players to help continue to grow the league. You know, we've seen Unrivaled, I feel like, has done a lot for the growth of the league. So yeah, I feel like this is good. This is like a train headed down a track of prosperity, and this is like the very beginning of it. Some other, I guess, key points to this: Supermax salary will be 7 figures. We now know that it's going to be like around 1.5 million. The max salary 2025 was less than 250,000. Once again, exponentially higher there. The average salary for a WNBA player last season, $120,000. It will now jump to $600,000, exponentially higher. And then the minimum salary, I should say. 2025, it was less than $67,000. 2026, it'll be upwards over $300,000. So those are like the big numbers that all this kind of translates into. So more money for the players, better situations, whether it's living and all that for them. Great. But this is just the beginning, which what I'm about to say, you're gonna have to really think about this. Now that this has been agreed upon, one, you have to get like the whole vote from everybody, which will probably happen in a week or so. But then the calendar gets really crazy, which it always was with the WNBA. Also, this is why I said when they were talking about negotiations and everything like that, I said by the time the women's tournament tipped off, I think the league wanted to get this done. Now, they got dangerously close. The first 4 tips off on Wednesday night, and then the tournament starts on Friday. So they kind of went right up against it, but they got it done. So now this is everything that needs to get done. You have an expansion draft that has to be held. Free agency has to be done because I think it's set like 75%, it could be even higher, of the league are actually free agents. So that's going to be crazy. The talk right now is early to mid-April they want to get that done. The women's tournament, I believe, ends like April 9th. So it'll probably be somewhere in that area where they're probably looking to get all of this done. And with the expansion draft, especially if you have a bunch of people who are free agents, teams kind of need to sign players to make players available for the expansion draft. So that is going to be crazy. Then training camp will start the 19th. So free agency gets done. The draft, I think, happens in that window too. The draft is supposed to be like April 13th. Now you're right into training camp. Preseason starts April 25th because the regular season is going to start May 8th. So if you haven't been paying attention to women's sports, it is going to be thrown in your face right now for the next 2 months until the season gets started, and then obviously you'll have games and everything to talk about. So, shout out to the players. Nneka Ogwumike is the president. Brianna Stewart, I believe, is the vice president. Yeah, I give them a lot of credit with, is it Terry Jackson, leader of the Players Association. They held out, because remember there was this story last week with like Kelsey Plum and some other players saying, like, I think the last proposal from the league, like they were like, hey, that might be good enough. Let's just get this going. The league held out, got a little bit more out of it. So, good for them. So the cap tied to the revenue of the league was the big sticking point, and they got it. So now we'll obviously see the continued growth of the league. We'll see marketing and everything. The WNBA has that new deal that's gone along with the NBA's new television deal. So we'll see what that does for league numbers going forward. So that's what I'm saying. Like, these negotiations were very important to the future of the league. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to see that they got it done. So let me know your thoughts. Are you a WNBA fan? If you are, what do you think about this? If you aren't a WNBA fan, I would like to hear from you as well. Like, have you been thinking about getting into the league? Does this even matter to you in any way? Like, I would love to hear from you as well. So thanks for tuning in. Once again, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, follow depending on the platform, leave a review if that's an option, or at the very least, leave a comment and let me know how you feel about this. So thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe. God bless. And until I talk to you next time, I'm out of here. All right? Bye.